Mr. Happy Living here. I love entrepreneurs and artists and authors and innovators and people from all walks of life that have discovered their reason for being on this planet. And that's why I love Tony Kasandrinos. And I'll bet you're going to love him too. So, Tony, welcome to the Something Significant show.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate being here.
Right on. I want to give you the floor to tell our audience who you are, what you do, where you came from. But I'd like you to share your life journey that brought you to this moment of doing work that you love, work that you were meant to do. And give us highlights or lowlights or memorable moments from each decade of your life. So we kind of get a picture for who is Tony Kasandrinos.
Okay, definitely. So my name's Tony Kasandrinos. I'm originally from Rochester, New York. My parents are originally from Greece. They're first generation. I'm first generation, born here in the States, but I spent a good portion of my childhood in Greece growing up. I was born in New York, lived probably till I was about 7 or 8 in Greece. And pretty much my whole life, I've been going back in the summers. When I went back to Rochester, spent my high school years and middle school years up there in New York. And then at 17, I enlisted in the military, went off to the Marine Corps and spent about 22 years doing that. About halfway through my career, I was sharing my family's olive oil with my friends at the local gym. Never intended to really start a business, but it kind of morphed into that. I was just sharing something that to me was like always around. It's always, for anybody that's ever been to Greece, olive trees are everywhere and it's a part of everybody's life, and cooking is a part of everybody's life in a very big way. I mean, we spend probably, I'd say about a quarter of the day either cooking and preparing food or eating it, so it's just something that was always there. I shared it with my friends. I ended up getting stationed somewhere else, and everybody was asking me, hey, how can I get more of your family's olive oil? And we didn't have a label or anything. It was just, we would bring it over and we'd put, it was in bottles, but they were blank bottles. It was just a glass bottle. So I decided to start a website so I could still share my olive oil with them. They can just go on there, purchase it, and I would mail it to them. Well, after a few months, it kind of spread by word of mouth, and to the point where it was taking up a lot of my time after my hours working with the Marine Corps. And it ended up just turning into a business.
So how long ago was that when you started sharing and then you actually made the transition into
sharing it kind of my whole life. It has always been around. But I was working out in a gym, and a CrossFit gym at the time in Philadelphia. And there was probably 150 to 200 members, and we were a tight-knit community, so word got around pretty quick. After that, I was actually on a podcast with one of my friends who was in the nutrition space, and we sold a lot of olive oil the day it aired live. And that's when I kind of realized, hey, maybe we should turn this into a business. So I talked to my sister and said, hey, do you want to do this with me? Because I don't have the time to do it. I was waking up at like 5 a.m, working out, and then going to work all day, and then, hitting potential deployments. And actually the first year we were in business, I ended up getting sent to Asia for 7 months, and my sister Effie got pregnant with her first child. So
are you saying being a Marine is like a full-time job?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it was definitely taking up a good 60 hours a week of my time. And then I would go home and I'd just be packaging orders. So we learned really early on that was not sustainable. And then we got a fulfillment center to help us out. And then we actually we created our own private label, and we just decided to name it our last name to always keep quality at the forefront, because there's not a lot of Kasandrinoses. So we definitely, created a logo, created a brand. And we did that for about 6 years, where we were just doing this part-time. My sister was working in Chicago with Chase JP Morgan at the time, and it forced us to be very efficient with our time and kind of streamline our business. And then yeah, we just kind of kept it going, and it was growing and, remaining profitable and doing really well. And then I retired last summer 2019, and it's been full time ever since then.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, you're welcome.
My brother's 26 and a half years in the Army, overlapping almost the entire time you were in. And we love our soldiers and Marines, and really appreciate what you guys and gals do for us. Well, that's great. That's a good success story, but let's talk about that, your success through what I call the happy formula. And it's capacity plus purpose equals happy.
Yeah.
And the way I define significance, and this is a Something Significant show, it contains 4 elements: doing things you love, in places you love, with people you love, and creating something of value to others. So it's doing and it's giving.
Mm-hmm.
To be a giver, you need excess capacity. You have to have more so you can give. So what are your personal practices that you use, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, financial, emotional? What do you do on a daily, weekly basis to increase your capacity so you can be a giver in life?
Yeah, I just really try to increase my knowledge in business and share that with other people. The olive oil side of things, I mean, it's something that everybody in Greece, it's very near and dear to our hearts, and we love sharing it. And it's really what the company was, and still is to this day. We're like kind of sharing grease in a bottle with our customers.
Mm.
But what I've really always loved about the business side of things, and just kind of the things that most customers don't see, is the personal relationships that you grow and maintain with other business owners, especially in the health and food space. So I definitely wouldn't have my business if it wasn't for the help I received from other business owners. So everything I've learned, I really try and impart that or help other newer companies and their owners, and say, hey, some of the things that I did that worked out really well, or these are some of the mistakes we made that I probably wouldn't do if I was you. So I really try and just any knowledge I've learned, and I learn new things every day from people, especially in the business space, but I really try and impart those on friends of mine who are just starting out, or even veterans in the business world that you can always improve.
Yeah.
Little tweaks.
That's great, but think about capacity in terms of your capability to do work. And you said CrossFit, so you must be an exerciser. So what do you do to keep Tony strong and vibrant, and so that you can do what you do and still have juice left over to give and to create?
So I'm a firm, like we said, I was in the military for 22 years, and most people know we have a reputation for working out a lot. And I'm a firm believer that starting off the day training in some way, shape, or form really keeps you sharp for the rest of the day. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't start the morning out with it, at a minimum, like a 30-minute walk, and then a quick little 5 to 10-minute workout, which I generally do in my garage. Sometimes outside.
What do you do for working out? It's
usually body weight type stuff. Being in the Marine Corps for so many years and being all over the planet and not always having access to a gym, you learn to use your body weight and gravity. So it'll be pull-ups, push-ups, dips, squats. I mean, pretty much anything that you can do to sprints, another one. But that's usually just a quickie just to get, your body firing, get it going. And but I like to do some sort of quick body weight workout every day, followed with a walk before that. So
very good. Have you experienced, when you went from being active Marine, and the intense physicalness that was required, to now being a businessman and selling olive oil, and not quite as much intensity is involved? Have you slowed down the intensity of your exercise, from running to walking, or how are you dealing with that?
No, I'm just a really big firm believer on walking, and I think we don't do enough of it in the Western world. And I'm blessed to be around a lot of mountains here in Nevada, and I live actually right on on the side of a mountain. So, no, I mean, the intensity, I'd say it's a little less when it comes to doing things with other people, because you don't have that competition there anymore as much. I mean, I've got some friends that I work out with, but it's still not the same as being around a bunch of Marines, especially as you get older in your career. And 40 years old is very old in the Marine Corps. I mean, that's a young man's game. The average age is like 20.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're always trying to keep up with the guys that work for you, and they're always looking up to you. So you really have to stay on point when it comes to physical fitness.
Yeah.
So you do lose that. I don't have a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds that are training with me.
Very good. Well, we love our sponsors here at the Something Significant Show. So we're going to take a commercial break, and we've got a great sponsor today, and we'll talk about it on the back end. And when we bring you back, Tony, in a minute here, we'll start in with purpose, discovering your purpose.
Definitely.
Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love Kasandrinos oil, made from olives soaked in the Grecian sun for months and picked by hand with care. You'll love it too. Grab a bottle today and get 50% off your first subscription order. Shop the World Wide Web at Kasandrinos.com. That's KASANDRINOS.com. Use coupon code HAPPYLIVING50 and I'll donate 15% off every order placed during the month of September to WYTV7. And we're back with Tony. So Tony, in my second book, it's called Turning Inspiration into Action, I explore the idea that major transformations and discovery of purpose often come from devastation, a terrible illness, a sudden death, but a happier way to create transformation is using inspiration. So was there a specific moment or a situation when you discovered your purpose, the life that you were meant to live? And in your case, did it come from devastation or inspiration?
I honestly, unfortunately, I would say it came from something not that good. Being in the military, unfortunately, I've lost a lot of friends that passed away far too young. Many of them in their teens or early 20s. But I'd say the one really thing that really made me realize what I'm doing and why I'm doing it from a business aspect did come from the Marine Corps. Probably actually my last year in, I was stationed up in Newburgh, and I was in charge of about 40 Marines. And we actually had a really devastating plane crash where we lost quite a few Marines, 9 of them to be exact. So, and that was all like one day, 1 minute, totally normal work day. Wouldn't think anything like different of that day. But once that happened, you really kind of put it in perspective of what just being a person is and day-to-day life and how quick it could change like in an instant. And I've lost a lot of friends over the years, but it's usually kind of like a one-time thing, but to lose that many people in one day, especially when, it's your friends and people you work with. And, one of my guys who was on that plane, he had his wife was pregnant. He was 22 years old. So, I think when that happened, it really, it's a pretty crazy experience to go through, and then everything that happens after it. And when it happened, it's like, okay, what's my day-to-day like? Why am I doing what am I doing? Why am I doing what I do? Especially, it was kind of weird because I was like transitioning out of the Marine Corps at the time. I had about a year left, and that's kind of after doing 2 decades in, that's kind of when you start getting ready to do whatever you're going to be doing next.
Mm-hmm.
But
so this is a few years ago.
Yeah, it was 2018, 17. It was summer 17. So yeah.
What time of the day did that happen?
Well, it happened in the afternoon. I found out right around 5 p.m. and it was a C-130, which for anybody that doesn't know is actually a very safe aircraft. And we got the call that a plane went down, it was like, okay, who's playing? Because you just don't think that kind. Aviation's dangerous, regardless, especially in the military where we really push the limits on plane aircraft. But for it to be basically a troop transport aircraft that's known for its safety, it was just really shocking. So
how did that, I mean, that's unimaginable to most of us. Many people have dealt with death, but as you said, especially all at once, and also young, vibrant people, right? And as you said, one's about to be a dad. So I can understand that had to be devastating. What changed in you? You mentioned it. You went right to there as a transformational moment in your life. What was different from Tony before that happened and the Tony that evolved out of that we're talking to today?
Yeah, just really, it made me really appreciate what's important, and that's people to me personally. Like just, the relationships you have every day with your family or your friends or your coworkers, or in that case, the guys who are working for you and with you, and just really not taking it for granted ever, because it could really like end in an instant on a freak accident. So just really being more appreciative of the people that are in your life and really focusing on that. And, nowadays, after that, I really try and, whether it's family or friends, just really, I wouldn't say not, because I don't think I really take people for granted, but really appreciate that, hey, these are relationships that I have, and I have them for a reason, and to really like invest in them instead of, just kind of going through the day and not really always being so appreciative for it.
How does that history of that day affect you when you're encountering some difficulties in today's Tony's life, right? What we would consider a challenging day.
And that's one thing I'm very appreciative about having the Marine Corps background is no matter how bad a day gets in business, it's not that bad, and you can always look to different days and even that, compared to what some other people been through isn't, so it could always be worse. And people through time have obviously gone through some really bad things and really good things. And I've had this discussion with a lot of my business owner friends over the years, and it's like people complain about having such a bad day, and it's at the end of the day, it's really trivial and minor. So it definitely gives you perspective on, okay, yeah, something might not be that great, but it could be a lot worse, Yeah. So.
Wow. It reminds me when I chose, instead of the military, I chose an athletic path when I was a young man. And when I was embarking on a big step that I was unsure and I was looking for some advice and help, a coach gave me, who had played in the professional football league, he gave me a quote. It says, "Your day belongs to another's dream." And since that moment, that's really all about gratitude. The day we're living. I mean, those guys that you lost that day, they're not living.
Yeah.
And so always something that we can be grateful for. And I find that people who have gone through devastation typically have more gratitude for a daily life.
No, I definitely would agree with that.
Okay, so that's the magic of giving. That's the happy formula, rather. And it's when you combine capacity with purpose, the sky's the limit. And it seems like you can do things easier that maybe other people think should be hard. But I believe the real magic of life comes from the fourth element of significance. And that's creating something of value to others. So talk to us a little bit about how doing work that you love with people you love in places you love, but that creates value and gives to others, how that brings joy and magic into your life.
Yep. Well, no, I definitely, as far as the place I love before that is Greece. And Greece has always been, because I've moved around, that's like really my home or where I feel most comfortable. So with our olive oil company, I get to go to Greece a lot, which is awesome. And I get to be with all my family and friends that lived there. and we get to produce this really awesome product that unfortunately in the Western world, we you don't always get the best quality of it. So, and that's really where we set ourselves aside with our product and our olive oil. A lot of people might think, oh, olive oil is olive oil. But at the end of the day, we're very specific on how we produce it and how we offer it to our customers. And that's really what makes it sets it apart from everything else that you're going to find at your grocery stores.
So
Yes.
I read something that you said most Americans drizzle stale olive oil, and they have for their whole lives.
Yep.
Try to help us understand what that means. If all I've been doing is drizzling stale olive oil, how does yours taste different to me?
Okay, so first of all, olive oil is a fruit juice, and you want to get the freshest olive oil possible. And that's why we kind of like looked at the industry and said, what's wrong with it? And we said, most people are eating old olive oil because of the distribution process of how it gets from, most of the world's olive oil comes from Europe, right around the Mediterranean or Northern Africa or the Middle East. By the time it gets to your grocery store, it's probably about at least a year old. And then it sits around at your house for who knows how long. We only offer the current harvest of olive oil to our customers. That's it. So when they're having ours, it's anywhere from 1 to 6 months old at the longest.
So if you have a big season, do you run out?
No, we sell it in bulk to other bigger buyers. Or if we have leftover, if we always have enough. I mean, we would have to get really, really big in retail in the States to run out.
Okay.
We produce quite a bit over there. And yeah, so we're always offering like really, the real fresh stuff. And unfortunately, most people don't know that they're eating bad stuff because that's all they know. So when that's why I love when people try our olive oil for the first time. They're like, wow, this is really different. I'm like, this is what it's supposed to taste like. This is the fresh stuff.
Go into that because, in my line of work, I've written a couple of books and it was new to me. Like, being an entrepreneur is new to you and selling olive oil. And when somebody first read my book and I realized they got something of it, it was like this internal joy. So, I mean, what's it like for you when somebody's tasting your olive oil for the first time and having an experience?
Yep.
How much does that change? I mean,
that's my favorite thing in business. Yeah. Like, that's why I love doing live events where we give people samples. And I always tell all our customers, try it next to whatever's on your kitchen counter or in your cupboard, because, and watching people's faces, they're like, oh, wow, and I'm like, that's what it's supposed to taste like.
So what do? You have them drizzle 2 out and then do different tastings side by side?
In like a little cup, tiny little cup, so you can get a little taste of it. And yeah, it's really, it's fun to watch people's faces. I wish I could like videotape everyone's faces, like when I try it initially for the first time. But yeah, that's really like, at the end of the day, that's why my sister and I, and our cousin Efrosini, who are the owners of our company, that's why we do what we do. We really like love sharing like something that to us has always been a part of our lives, but we know it's special and unique compared to what you're getting here in the States or in Canada. And we love sharing it with people, and it's really awesome when they try it for the first time and they're like, wow, okay, now I get it.
It's really cool with what you're doing, because not only do you get to bring a real upgrade, authentic product that we're all used to, but maybe we haven't really experienced before. But then you also get to kind of share your heritage and your culture and your Greece with us. That must be very uplifting as well.
It is. I mean, my favorite, I think I should have been a tour guide maybe. I love sharing Greece with people. Like I generally bring people every summer with me when I go, just friends that have never been there and they want to experience it. And I can kind of show them the real Greece, like outside of the tourist spots. I mean, and then you can like go to a restaurant and you can eat fresh food that was grown in their backyard. And it's very different there. It's a lot more self-sustainable. And to be able to share that with people, even in a little way, like, hey, here's, what Greece is really known for. It's been around for thousands of years, and this is what we've been doing, and being able to share that with with people is really cool.
Very good. We've only got a few minutes left. Let me give you a couple of rapid fire questions. You have a favorite quote?
It's kind of a popular one, but I learned it about 15 years ago, or when I was in recruiter school, and it was a Wayne Gretzky quote on you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
But it's always stuck with me for some reason. And, even especially in business, it's like so many people have ideas and they want to do things, but it never happens because they're like, oh, I don't have the time, or I don't have the energy, or I don't know how to do it. And, it's something I've always really lived by, even like starting a business. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it, so.
I like that.
It always stuck with me.
What about if you could spend one day with any person in history, who would it be?
So I would say my grandfather. He passed away when I was like really little. So, and he experienced a lot. He went through World War II in Europe. This is my father's father. My mother's father experienced Europe during World War II, but as a U.S. vet. And my father's father experienced it as a Greek citizen. So I didn't really get a chance to get to know him that well. So I would definitely say him.
That's great. What's one thing you wish you had known 10 years ago?
Start growing my email list sooner. It pertains to business.
Good.
That's the number one thing I tell all business owners.
Yeah.
Getting the way to contact your customers ASAP.
Very good. Well, let me give you a minute just for any parting comments or thoughts you have for our listeners.
I just think this is great. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm really glad to be on here and exposed to a new group of people. Love what you all are doing here. And if anybody wants to try our product, or what I always tell our customers, if you're ever planning a trip to Greece, reach out to me, contact me, and I will give you a whole class on where to go, what to do, how to enjoy it.
I think when you were talking about your touring, and I think we have to plan a happy living tour of Greece.
Definitely.
We'll talk about that. All right. Okay. Well, very good, everyone. That's it for today. Tony, I want to thank you. You're a real inspiration. I want to thank WYTV7 for hosting and promoting our show. A special thank you to our sponsors for the entire month of September, Tony's company, Kasandrinos, and my company, Happy Living. And remember, the more you buy, the more I'll donate to WYTV7. Use code HAPPYLIVING50 for subscriptions and HAPPYLIVING25 for one-time orders. And be sure to tell your friends too. Everybody can take this test. And for every $1 that's bought, we're going to donate 15 cents to WYTV7. And most especially, I want to thank you, listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and promo codes and all things Tony Kasandrinos. Find him, friend him, discover why he says he's bringing you Grease in a bottle. And from me to you, dear listeners, I want to thank you for listening. I love you and want you to be happy. We do what we do here at the Something Significant Show to inspire you to make the most out of your life by realizing it's your choice and responsibility to decide how you're going to spend it. It's up to you to discover and live your purpose. And if you're inspired today by this show, please donate what you can, when you can, to WYTV7, or buy more oil and I'll do the donating for you. That's it. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper, and this is the Something Significant Show.